TheorySabers.com.
Stoops, I know you want to cover something with the Old Republic movie coming out and controversy around that, so let's get into it, man.
Awesome. Yeah. So James Mangold, who's directing the First Jedi or the Dawn of the Jedi movie, I think is what they're calling it, says that it's set 25,000 years before the Skywalkers and that he doesn't want to be chained to pre-existing lore. He doesn't want to be bound to anything around that time period. So a lot of people are saying, we love the lore. That's why we come to these movies. But others are like, yes, I can see how being unburdened by that may be able to tell the story that he wants to tell. But personally, I'm a little bit worried. I think the Dawn of the Jedi Legend story is great. It's interesting. I hope they keep certain elements from Legends. I think Force-imbued swords is a must. I really want that. And I also want to see, the first Jedi's view on the Force explored like it was in Legends. Like when the Jedi were focused more on light and dark and that balance. Yeah. And I just hope that they stick to that instead of trying to tell a story entirely their own, missing the core elements of why we're interested in that time period to begin with.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that if they want to go back to where it all began, there's so much lore behind that, and he needs to get that lore and actually use it. Because if you don't, well, what the hell's the point then? You're just making up your own shit. And as we've seen before with Disney, when they do that with Star Wars, it doesn't really work out too well. So the two-time Oscar nominee, who is set to co-write and direct Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, recently teased that his prequel will aim to find a way on the page to say something original about the origin of the Force without relying too much on the franchise's established lore. Now, whenever they do this shit, it just it's like these guys like to put their own spin on Star Wars, and it's like it's already there. Take what's already there and apply it and make it into a movie. Put it on screen. I don't know why they feel they have to go and make their own crap, because it usually doesn't end up too good.
Well, they don't care about handcuffing themselves to the lore anyway. We saw that with the Acolyte.
Oh, God. To me, the really important aspects are the freedom to make something new. And I, in relation to Star Wars, have been working on a script, and we'll see what happens. It's like, yeah, you want to make something new, but why? You're making something about Star Wars. Like, the lore and shit is already there. We just need to stay true to that. Like, talk about the Tho-Yor. Talk about them coming to Tython. Talk about all of them going to Ashla and Bogan. And cover that whole story. There's so much that they can actually adapt. They just need to freaking actually look at the source material. What do you think, Dash?
There's two things. One, I'd say that the hardest part of mythology is the beginning and the end, because the more you get to the beginning, the more you have to keep it like primordial and abstract. And there was definitely parts of that story I didn't love, like the guy, whatever his name was, Zesh, and the Rakatans using people as human batteries to power their ships. So I was like, that's a little bit out there for me, but I agree that there's so much of the EU to mine. We keep thumping that, the book over and over, like just use what's already there. But the thing that just caught me when you read that was he didn't say the origin of the Jedi. He said the origin of the Force itself. And I'm like, what?
Oh, shit. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that.
You stumble over a rock and you're like, hey, there's a little pocket of Force here. Like, how do you find the Force? Is it going to be the father and the son? Like,
oh my gosh.
It's such an abstract, even like idea. How do you contextualize that into an easy to understand thing for audiences and make it tangible, but also exciting? Like that's way too nebulous for me personally. The origin of the Force, like the Force was birthed.
No, and it's that's like making a movie on where everything began, how the universe was born, and it's like that's going to be controversial right off the bat. Now you're doing it with Star Wars? Shit, good luck.
Well, the origin of the Force and the origin of the Jedi are like two very different stories, and one is fleshed out in Star Wars Legends, which is the origin of the Jedi, which is the story that I think we all want, and the other is going around and mucking in areas that are already just perfect. Like the Force is great because it's not explicitly defined all the time. So when you attempt to explain that away, it loses the mystery behind it.
Yeah.